I don't jump to conclusions. Hey, I'm just going to be tried by a majority of my peers, and whatever happens, happens.
This isn't like who's better kind of thing. All right, we're just giving a little history. All right, and mine are Jet, The Alarm, Archangels, and for good measure, I threw in Midnight Oil.
Oh, nice. I like them. I made a whole list if we're doing this regularly. There's
yeah, I mean this is fun. This is there's a bunch too from every era of rock.
These are just the ones I wanted to talk
bands from
about
the
first.
60s and 70s.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one and all. You could definitely do. I was going to try to do one per decade, but I mean it's kind of one of those things where I was trying to keep it at least rock oriented. I mean you could say people like Sam Cooke, what the hell happened to him?
Yeah, well, like another guy. As I was researching this, a lot of people were like, "Well, what about Rod Stewart?" Like, he went and did he became a big band singer, and then he vanished. You were
doing what? You were sinking. I thought you were sinking. I felt it in my.
I believe I'm sinking down, or whatever that goes. Okay, you guys ready to do something? A little something, something.
Sure.
Huh?
A little something.
Yeah.
All right, if those of you who are listening live, give us some feedback. If you're going I can't hear somebody, or somebody's too loud, or I'm usually too loud.
I didn't want to say anything.
And Lily is usually not. We can't hear Lily. And we have Keith. Okay, so
just let me know.
Let's go ahead. Get the party started. Sorry, guys, we had a little technical difficulties here, but I think it's all working now. So. All right, see you, Hawk. Thanks for coming, buddy.
There's a fly. I got to kill this son of a bitch.
All right, McFly.
The fly don't pay right there.
Look at him.
There it is.
And then there's that. Dinner and a show.
All right, is everybody out there entertained?
If I need a pair of chopsticks, I can get that son of a bitch right now. Here he comes back. He's fucking crazy. Oh, stung. He's down. Down goes Frazier.
All right.
I haven't drank it.
Go eat that.
Oh, man. Okay. Let's do it, guys.
Take a one in the dog bowl.
All right, here we go.
Holy hell, lay off the peyotes.
That wasn't a peyote, it's a whiskey. All right, here we go. On this week's Loudini Rock and Roll Circus podcast, we will answer the burning question, whatever happened to Archangels and 9 other awesome bands that just seemed to fall off the face of the earth? Get ready to rock out with your talk out. It's the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. Hey, everybody, moms and dads, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. I am your ringmaster, Loudini. Some people know me as Lou Lombardi, but Loudini will do for my friends out here in podcast land this evening. We have a great show for you tonight. We have the full power trio in full rock and roll regalia.
+1.
On drums, Keith the Hawk Hawkins. It's a podcast, Keith. You have to talk.
That's my thing, man. That's my thing now.
On the bass guitar, hidden in the corner where you can't see him, Pittsburgh Kevin.
These guys.
On lead vocals. All right, on background vocals.
On triangle.
Lily V6.
Hi, guys.
How you doing? All right. So we got the whole crew here tonight. We're going to have a really good time. Looking forward to it. We're talking about those bands that, you go, every once in a while you talk with your friends, you go, whatever happened to those guys? You don't even hear from them anymore.
I say that a lot.
And there is a lot of that. So Keith and Lily like the idea of possibly doing this as a monthly thing or some kind of regular basis. So we might toss that around. Let us know what you think. And we will completely disregard it and do what we want to do anyways, as we usually do.
Yes, so there's that.
It's a great day to be alive here at the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. You know why? Do you know why, Lily?
Don't say it.
I'm going to say why.
Say it.
I'm going to say exactly why. Because we are a part of the Rock Rage Radio family.
Whoop, whoop.
They replay this show. We do it live. So those of you who hang out live, you're kind of getting the preview. But it goes out on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday at noon, right after. As soon as you're coming out of church, you can pop it on and rock out and get rid of all that church garbage out of your head and get into some good rock and roll. Okay? Also, I'm really excited. You know the reason why I'm excited?
Why?
Because I think that when guys get up on stage and they have an awesome-looking guitar or awesome-looking bass or an awesome-looking paint job on those drums, I just think it makes the show so much better because it's interesting. You got something to look at. And there's nobody who does that better than Wolf's Customs. You go to wolfscustoms.online, talk to our good friend Chris Thunderwolf Docks, and he will hook you up. Hollow Flash, they do like wood graving, they do all wood burning, they do all kind of very cool things. Keith had something done with a snare drum. They do any kind of instrument you have. Go to wolfscustoms.online and hook up with those guys. Another thing I'm really excited about is I'm going to give you one of these t-shirts or a t-shirt of your choice. I'm wearing a Loudini Rock and Roll Circus t-shirt tonight. And you know how I'm going to do that? Because you are going to go to iTunes and you're going to search Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, and then there's the little button that says rate review, and you're going to click that. And you're going to give us a 5-star review, and you're going to say something really awesome about us. And then you're going to take a little picture with your cell phone, and you're going to email it to lou@loulombardimusic.com, and we're going to do a drawing. A drawing.
Look at my
We're
bum.
going to do a drawing.
Look at my bum, you
and
cheeky
you're
monkey.
going to win a free t-shirt. I know it's going to be you. I just got a feeling, Lily, it's going to be this guy right here. This guy's watching right now.
Right
That's
there.
what it's going to be.
All right.
So it's going to be. I just got a feeling in my bones. In my bones.
Just never mind.
Not that bone. Get your mind out of the gutter.
I like it there.
You like what?
So anyway,
In the
so
gutter.
it is the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. Let's, before we jump into tonight's topic, let's just kind of like see what everybody's been up to. Lily?
Oh, I just went to, over the weekend, it's called a Brutal Weekend show down at the Subalpine. Many heavy metal bands, including Nunslaughter, who were the ending band for the weekend, who were very great. I did
The
some
whole
interviews.
weekend.
So 2 days.
Awesome.
2 days.
Like a festival.
Yeah, it was a good time. Lots of people I haven't seen in a hot second. Great, and all great bands. So go check out video and interviews and photos from that show all over Facebook.
All over Facebook. If you follow Lily V6, she's really good about that, and she does screen caps from this, the podcast and everything as well. Keith the Hawk Hawkins, I know things are opening up a little bit down there where you are, and you've got a few things going on. Anything you want to talk about? You want to share before we get started? Any cool crap
Yes,
happening?
I'm playing more, and that's a good thing. Got a gig this Saturday at the Poorhouse, which is in the metropolis of Metairie, Louisiana. But that's a place we're at about once a month. And I got some other shows with some different acts. I just got a call the other day to do like a kind of fill-in gig at a place on Frenchmen Street. So we'll see how that goes, man. And I think that's just it's looking up. It's better than just digging a ditch, I guess.
We that's great. The Nirvana tribute band that I play with is we're rehearsing, and we have like 7 to 10 tentative dates through the summer right now. So we're pretty excited about that, and I will keep you guys abreast of that. My original band has been in the studio for a little while now, and we have the tracks down. We're doing the overdubs and mixing and crap like that too. So all kind of cool stuff going on, and it's really exciting that everybody's got stuff going on. So let's get into tonight's topic, which is this is sort of where are they now, or right? Where'd they go?
What happened to?
Where Gin's gay and all that?
What happened?
Pittsburgh, Kevin. Where Gin's gay?
Where'd they go?
Where'd they gay?
They's just here.
They're just here now. They're all gone.
It's just another all gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're going to talk about Nate Donnie Harris, sorry.
No, he's still here.
All right. He's all washed up.
Hey,
He's
why?
got pants now.
Hey, you talk about him. You just genuflect. Get down on your knees and made sign of cross, Donnie Iris.
Sign of the Iris. Okay, who's... you know what? Lily always goes first. Keith has not been on in a couple of weeks, so let's give Keith, the drummer, our the opening spot.
All right, I'm going to go start this off with a little band from Down Under who started out very early on in their lives. We're talking teenagers. The band was called Silverchair. They're from Australia. They were a three-piece. They had a big song called Tomorrow, if you remember that. The album was Frog Stomp. and they kind of took off. They were in that 90s, kind of grungy sound, but just with being a three-piece and having a lead singer with blonde hair and playing guitar, you're going to get a lot of comparisons with other bands that are around that time, namely Nirvana. So they probably had a lot of comparisons to that. A lot of big things happened with this band right off the bat. Like I said, they were 13, 14, 15 years old, at the time, and they kind of just took off. And even their next record, Neon Ballroom, was, did pretty well for them. And then things just kind of got out of control. I don't even know if it was so much, from what my digging said, it wasn't so much drugs. It was more like the singer started having like an eating disorder. The guy had an eating disorder. So Daniel Johns obviously needed a sandwich. But so that's what happened to them. They kind of just started falling apart. They actually got back together a few different times, and like most of these bands, they try to keep it together, and they break up and they get back together. But this band kind of just fizzled out, and I think they kind of had their 15 minutes, they would say, and they did well for a while. And then actually the drummer Ben Gillis said that they were probably saved, having a short career, they were saved from that lifestyle that probably would have ruined them anyway. So he kind of was looking at it realistically, like, hey man, maybe it was for the best. I think that Daniel Johns does still do solo stuff around Australia, but I don't get out to Australia much, so I'm not really sure where he's playing at. But that's a band that kind of came and went. So they were, their day gone tomorrow, and they just had a very short-lived career. But they tasted the life for a while.
All right, good pick there, Mr. Hawk the Hawk Hawkins. What do you got, Lily V6?
First on my list is a little band called The Verve, English rock band, formed August 15th of 1990. So I don't normally pick 90s bands, but there's one that I like. A lot of people, when they first came out,
because when we wanted to make sure that we didn't have any overlaps.
Right.
And when you said that, I was like, whoa.
Well, I really loved watching the Bittersweet Symphony video on TV all the time.
Video, yeah.
When they first came out, people were talking that they were going to be the next Beatles, the next Stones, and they were great. Very catchy.
Kind of were the Stones.
Yeah, basically. Basically, yes.
With what the story of the song.
Yes,
okay.
yes. They did start with whenever they came out, they were like more of a psychedelic sound. By the mid-90s, the band had released several EPs, 3 albums. They had name changes, lineup changes, 3 breakups of the band.
Kind of like my last 2 marriages.
Drug problems, lawsuits, the whole thing. The commercial breakthrough was the 1997 album Urban Hymns that had Bittersweet Symphony, The Drugs Don't Work, Sonnet, and Lucky Man. These are all songs everybody should know because they had heavy radio play, heavy MTV play, VH1, the whole thing. They won 2 Brit Awards. They've won, Bittersweet Symphony was nominated for a Grammy for Best Rock Song. But after their commercial peak, they disbanded. That was like one of the times. No, before they became commercial, that was one of the times they broke up. Then right after they became commercial, they broke up. And then they broke up for the 3rd time in 2008 after their final performance at the V Festival. Jones and McCabe no longer talked to Ashcroft, who was the lead singer of the band. They felt he was using the reunion as a vehicle to get his solo career back on track, which is probably legit because he did have a little bit of a solo career for a minute there. Ashcroft told Daily Telegraph, "I can confirm we did what we did to set out just to have people watch what we wanted to do for the last time, and then right now there are no plans for doing anything in the near future." But McCabe and Jones have started their own project. So they work solo, called the Black Ships, who later changed their name to the Black Submarine. And they also have electric violinist.
First we were the originals, and then we were the new originals.
Yes, exactly. That's what I thought of too. David Rossi. In September 2017, McCabe noted that he had not spoken to Ashcroft for over a year and that a possible reunion would be unlikely in the foreseeable future. It also saw the release of the 20th anniversary version of Urban Hymns then. So they're probably never, ever getting back together. So
is that a song with Taylor Swift?
Yes.
I was going to say that's much like Taylor Swift and her boyfriend.
Yes.
Or whoever she's,
she's talking about them all.
I actually think that song Bittersweet Symphony is an amazing song. I think it's probably one of the better songs of the decade, actually, because that decade got really saturated with the same kind of over and over again. It just started all sounding the same after a while. But I think that song was a breath of fresh air. Unfortunately, I think, what was it? They sampled that symphony part from Rolling Stones.
Yeah, and now
and they,
it's actually sung as Jagger Richards. Their names.
Yeah, so they kind of didn't really, cash in on that one, even though it had like a lot of airplay. I do think it's I mean, even when I listen to it today, it still sounds fresh. I think it's a really good song. Has cool lyrics, very real, and it's
even the video is great.
Yeah, it's a great song. Even if they just wrote that song and then kind of faded away, it would have been, they would have been just a kick-ass one-hit wonder. But yeah, these bands come and go, but they do, I think, get a little short in the bank account. Then they try to make another comeback, and it sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, well, you don't. I think the Stones were trying to send a message, like, you don't do that. We're not having that. You're not just taking our stuff. They had to put the kibosh on. Those guys got spanked hard over that, and that was the end of that. Now, other Stone stuff has been sampled, but it's always been with permission. So, if you're in a band out there and you're thinking about sampling,
don't steal.
Ask first.
Yeah, don't take any, especially from the Stones. Other bands are like much more forgiving.
Probably not Kiss either, but yeah.
But don't mess with the Stones. I'm going to mention a band. Those of you that are on my email list already know this. So this is why you want to get on my email list. Go to LouLombardiMusic.com.
I read the whole thing today.
Get a free EP, and you get on my email list. But Archangels were a blues rock band formed in Austin, Texas in the early 90s. Now check out this lineup. Check this lineup out. This was, at the time, really a supergroup. This was Doyle Bramall II, which is a very famous blues guitar player for Austin, up-and-coming Austin guitar player. Charlie Sexton, Beat So Lonely and all those songs, okay? And check out who the rhythm section was. It was Double Trouble, Stevie Ray Vaughan's band, Chris Layton and Tommy Shannon. Amazing, right? The Ark in the band's name came from Austin Rehearsal Complex, where the band first started jamming. I didn't know that, Loudini. Thank you for telling me. The 92 self-titled debut was met with critical approval, reached number 127 on the Billboard chart, and that's pretty good considering the era and considering the type of record it was, because it wasn't like a big commercial. It wasn't aimed at the big kind of commercial market, the big rock market or the big pop market. It was a kind of floating in between there. They got to play on Letterman, and to wild acclaim, and this great record. And those of you that don't, if you're a guitar player, you need to get this record because it's one of the greatest guitar albums of all time. Just the guitar work, the singing, the songwriter. Just these two guys, Sexton and Bramall, share lead vocals and lead guitar, and the way they interact with each other is absolutely amazing. You wouldn't have realized that behind the scenes there was a lot of tension between those two guys. This was eventually blamed on Bramall's heroin addiction, and this was just caused too much internal friction. You just can't work with the junkie. Like, as good as you are, we just can't work with the junkie. It's just not going to work. Archangels broke up in October of 93, so they put out a record 92. By October of 93, they were done. They did a series of farewell concerts, Austin's backyard outdoor venue. They came back, and they've done periodic reunions. 2002, Bramall cleaned himself up and has released a number of blues albums, and he's a favorite on Clapton's Crossroads, right, Kevin?
Crossroads,
Clapton's Crossroads shows. He's toured with Clapton. Toured with Roger Waters. Charlie Sexton was Bob Dylan's guitar player for like 10 years. And, of course, he had the Charlie Sexton Sextet, and he's done a bunch of solo stuff and produced a bunch of people. He's a very well-loved musician. The Shannon and Layton have played with everybody, and I believe Chris Layton is still Kenny Wayne Shepherd's drummer. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that he still is. He's been a drummer for many, many years. In 2009, the members got back together, minus Shannon, and they did a reunion. They put out a concert DVD. All the same songs, though. They did not release any new music. And they never made any big announcement or breaking up after that or anything like that. but they just haven't put anything out. They're like on a permanent hiatus. Bramble has referred to Archangels as the band I was in, and so people are just sort of assuming that like they're never going to do anything again. I really hope that these guys do something, because they're still at the age where they can still sing and play really, really well. They're in other projects, and I just think it's a damn shame that a band of this talent has not got together and done another record. So Archangels, one of my favorite bands. I want to thank Jeff Mazai for chiming in when I posted the event and talking about how this is one of his Desert Island albums as well. Okay, Archangels.
There it is. Yeah,
There it
he
is.
commented, actually.
What did he say? Any good?
He said Archangel's my top 5 favorite band. Stevie Ray used to babysit Doyle. Met Doyle many times.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie Sexton was this little kid who would come up on stage at Antone's and jam with Stevie Ray. Like he was another just kid running around Austin. What they do down there in Texas? These amazing guitar players: Billy Gibbons, Stevie Ray Vaughan,
the
Jimmy
water.
Vaughan. Like it's like what the hell?
Austin's a huge music town, so there's that.
So anyway, so that's my pick for now. What do you got, Keith? What's next on your list, buddy? What's in your wallet?
I got lint. I got the Four Horsemen, which is not the Ric Flair wrestling group, even though those were the cool days too. But they released a album in '89. Now this band has a lot of interesting parts to it, to where the band was started by a guy named Stephen Harris, not the bassist for Iron Maiden, of course. This guy was the touring bassist for the Cult, and then decided to start his own band. He knew a guy named Rick Rubin. You might have heard of him. Rick Rubin knew a guy named Frank C. Starr, who looks complete. If you check out any of their videos, the dude is a rock star. Looks like Ian Gillan, has the hair, super cool voice. And those two hit it off. Found another couple guys, added them to the mix, and they released an album called Nobody Said It Was Easy. Now,
Great
you gotta
album
dig these
title.
guys up. They have a
Great album
very,
title.
very,
Great
very cool Black Rose, heavy blues kind of sound. And the album was really good. There's a lot of killer, no filler on that one. Then the band kind of just wasn't really, I mean, drugs definitely had a part in it. The drummer OD'd in '94. And then this is unfortunate here. That guy, that Frank C. Starr, had a head-on collision on Sunset Strip with a drunk driver. So he had a brain injury, put him in a coma, and he never made it after that. So you guys hear me or what, man? 'Cause I can't hear you guys.
Did you hear my shitty comment? You said when he had a head-on collision on Sunset Boulevard, I said Vince Neil.
No, I didn't hear you were cutting out or something.
Wrong guy.
Anyway, Rick Rubin produced their first 2 records, and they kind of just, like I said, a lot of that tragedy, they kind of went, and then they put out another record that just had very poor album sales, and they were kind of booted from their label. At that point, they were trying to get another singer in there. They ended up the drummer that OD'd. His brother was the drummer for Danzig, Chuck Biscuit, so he had to come. He stepped in and played for them. But this band had a lot of tragedy. But if you listen to that record, it has a lot of cool, like kind of just real nice bluesy riff bass songs. Dude has a super cool voice, and like I said, they had a cool look to them, man. Also, and they were here and going, man.
I do not know this band, and I really.
I
want to check them
guarantee
out.
if you look them up, you will know a couple of their songs, because that album had some hit tunes on it.
Maybe.
I mean, it wasn't like number 1 on the charts, but they did chart. And so the album's called Nobody Said It Was Easy, and that's, if you check out that title track, and there's a couple other tunes on the album that were floated around out there on MTV. Even Headbangers Ball was playing them.
Oh wow! Okay, I'm going to check them out. And it's so funny because I may know the music, but didn't ever pick up the name of the band. Like I was playing Archangel. Kevin had said he'd never heard Archangels, and I was playing him Archangel. He's like, "Oh yeah, I know that song." So
Yeah, sometimes you just got to hear one,
Yeah.
hear a tune or two, and then you're like, oh, I remember that band. There's so many, like, that's what I mean about the idea. There's so many bands like this. I mean, not just millions and millions of bands that just try to get anything together. A lot of them, most of them don't make it anywhere. So if you can make it that far and have a major label release, and after that it's a crapshoot. But these bands start big. But unfortunately for this band, it just didn't work out because, like I said, tragedy struck and they were just having all kind of issues. So I mean, it's just something that you really, it's sad because who knows what could have happened. And with Rick Rubin backing them too, that doesn't hurt. You know,
Absolutely.
so
There is a version
kinda-
of this band that does play at
Yeah.
Jurgles like once a year.
Really?
what's that?
There is a version of this band that does play at Jurgles once a year.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I mean, I did see a video of the guy where the guitar player was still hanging out there, was trying to put out old DVDs, actually, just trying to peddle those things still.
Yeah.
And we're trying to put out old live footage. And yeah, that's they were a band I think that could have had a pretty decent future, but they just didn't. You know, like I said, they were more hit by tragedy than anything else.
And there it is.
That's a good pick, Keith. I'm going to go back. After we're done, we usually hang out and party in here for a while. I'm going to put on some Four Horsemen, refresh my memory. And by the way, you asked if we could hear you. You never cut out once. I don't know if something happened on your end, but you were like, it was like crystal freaking clear. Nobody missed anything. So
Okay, yeah, that was like it seemed like you were talking, and I was like, I can't hear what you're
yeah,
saying.
we were just
so,
making smart ass comments.
Yeah, he was just being snarky.
I was being an asshole. You know me, right?
So just smack him when he's there.
Yeah. What do you got? What do you got, Lily V6?
Lily has got Sponge next on her list. American rock band formed in Detroit, Michigan in 1992 by Vinnie Dombrowski, Mike Cross, Tim Cross, Jim Paluzzi. But
Jim Belushi.
Paluzzi.
Nice.
Paluzzi. Every time I bring up this band to somebody who's a little younger than me, though, they're like, I have no idea
I
who that
nearly
band
lost
is.
you. Was that the song? I nearly lost you. Is that the
Nah, that's the Screaming Trees.
Yeah, no.
They did plow.
They did
Sponge
Plow.
had a tune called
When I
Plow.
wake up
Yeah.
from dreams I
Yes.
made up.
Yeah, that's-
Yes, I
that's it
guess
right
it's
there.
Yeah, so that's them.
Say a prayer for me.
Yes. That's the, which showed up in many, many, many movies and soundtracks and that whole
Pants
thing.
freaking mixed up. But those are all good songs. I don't
Right,
mean to
no,
diss
no.
those bands. They're just, you know.
Yeah.
He also had a tune called Molly. Remember that one?
I know. And yeah, and see, the problem with the 90s was, dude, man, I was doing so many drugs, and I was drinking so hard, and I was gigging like freaking crazy. So like, it's kind of a blur.
So he didn't know
I was
his ass
banging
from his elbow.
So many chicks.
So anybody out there listening that's younger, just use Lou as a role model to get you where you need to be in life. Because holy shit, why don't you just tell them why don't you just show them the needle tracks behind your leg too,
And
man?
there-
Telling you, man,
that.
you guys did not know me in the 90s. I was a totally different person.
And there it is.
This explains a lot
I was.
what's happening with you right
I was
now.
a total asshole.
You went to church every Sunday, though.
Anyway, before
That's
they
all
were
that
called Sponge, they were the band Loud House. And Loud House did release one album and had a song appear on the soundtrack to Point Break, which was pretty cool. Seems like their songs always end up on soundtracks, which is kind of a thing. They were later joined by Mazzola. At the end of the band's tenure, the band decided to start fresh, and they renamed themselves Sponge. Began working on new music, performed in bars, clubs, recognized for having dual guitar sound, reminiscent of MC5. Their debut album, Rotting Pinata, which is the one everybody should know who knows who Sponge is, was released in '94 on Columbia Records. The song Nina, Menasha, and Plowed were released as the first and second singles, and Plowed was the big song that everybody knows, which Lou was just singing. The third single, Molly, was also received heavy airplay on radio and MTV. The album was certified gold, and the fourth single, Rainin', was released in October '95 and had moderate success. And then they sort of like recorded their next album, and it kind of like fell by the wayside. Things weren't doing good. Columbia dropped them. They recorded the Beer Sessions in like 2016-ish. Yeah, 2016. That was okay. The original lineup did get back together to perform one night only. This was the first time in 24 years that all the original members performed on stage together. They did receive the Distinguished Achievement Award for Rotting Pinata because it was like the, how many years later that it came out. They did tour in 2019, and I did get to see them, and I did get to interview them. They were super nice guys. I partied with them. I drank with them. Super
Nice.
fun.
Look at you, Lily, being all progressive and embracing some 90s music. Check you out.
Well, it ended up in movies. That's why. Let's be real. But they did have a whole new tour planned out for 2020, but COVID, of course. And then they are going to try to do another one for 2021. So hopefully people who don't really know them or haven't gotten to see them will get to see them eventually. They do have 8 studio albums, 4 live albums, and several charting singles. They are best known for Plowed. And the founder, Vinny, who's like the sweetest guy ever, is the only guy who's been in the band the whole time during all of the lineup changes. So
That was my next question. How many actual members are still in the band that are actually around? Just one? Yeah, that's like some Steppenwolf shit.
But Vinny is super sweet, and it was my very first mainstream band interview that I had, and he later on told me after the show when I was going up to like thank him, he's like, "You did a really, really great job. I'm super excited. You didn't sound like you didn't know what you were doing." I'm like, "Oh my God, thank you so much, Vinny." So it was nice.
That's cool. Anytime I interviewed famous people, like when I was doing a lot of interviews, they were always the most gracious. Like the only guy who was a total asshole to me was Walter Trout. Everybody else was like so freaking like gracious and appreciative and kind and support. Like they made sure that they talked in such a way that they knew that the interview had to progress. They didn't give like one-word answers. It's these local bands and indie bands that don't know how to do a freaking interview that drove me freaking crazy.
Yes, there's one band that we all know that I'm not going to mention. I'll talk to you later about it. That does not do a good interview. And they drive me crazy.
I know, they're a good band. We talked about this last
Okay, you know who I mean then.
Yeah, I like that band. They're really good, but
they're
it's
a great band,
but
the interview scares me.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to pick a band. This band, I played their album. Sometimes when you're in high school, it's like tough getting through stuff, right, Kevin?
Sometimes.
Yeah,
please. I breeze through high school.
And music was my freaking refuge. And my junior year in high school, I got this album called Declaration by The Alarm. And I played that album every day after high school. I mean, every day after school. I played that. My senior year, I played The Joshua Tree, Keith. That was my senior album. Junior album was Declaration by The Alarm. Welsh rock band formed in Wales in 81, initially formed as a punk band called, check this out, Kevin, The Toilets.
Nice.
Wow. Wow. No shit.
Names are hard to come by, but I'll tell you what, if I'm going to name a band, The Toilets would be right up on my list.
You'd call a band The Toilets. Well, for a punk band, right? Mike.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're going to be, then it would be, the album would be called Ass Wipe. I don't know.
Eswipe.
One Wipe Charlie.
I can't stand you.
That
guys.
was the name of the guitar player.
You know what those are?
How'd you know that?
I have some in the room. You want me to go get them?
No. But lead vocalist Mike Peters has been like the kind of mainstay of the band. The classic lineup of the band is David Sharp, Eddie McDonald, and Nigel Twist, with Mike Peters fronting. Their big album, Declaration, contained the hit 68 Guns. Peaked at number 6 on the UK albums charts. This was a band that was definitely bigger in England and in Europe than they were in America. Absolutely.
That reminds me a lot of Citizen Dick. Remember Matt Dillon fronted band and single Citizen Dick was huge in Belgium, but not in our own hometown.
Yeah,
go figure.
It happens. It happens. But the band released Declaration, and they followed up with an album called Strength, which did get some American play. They were signed to IRS Records. IRS Records, very famous record label for these type of indie rock bands. They got a lot of comparisons to U2. Some people called them U3. Their debut release was an EP. It was a concept album based on Stephen King's The Stand.
Nice shit.
Absolutely. What ended up happening, though, with the classic lineup was just internal tensions. And I think what happens with bands is sometimes you just get sick of each other. You just get tired.
I don't believe it.
You just get tired, and that's going to be the case with another band I'm going to talk about a little bit later on. But literally, Mike Peters left the band on stage at a show.
Oh, wow, nice.
And what happened was Eddie Sharp, who's was kind of like, in the old days, it was the lead singer, right, and the lead guitar player. They would sort of co-front the band. And excuse me, Dave Sharp. I apologize. Mike Peters, Dave Sharp were sort of co-fronting the band. Dave's a very dynamic guitar player, great stage show and everything. And they just had it. They just had enough of each other. And Mike announced, "This will be my last show with The Alarm." And none of the other bands had any. None of the other guys in the band had no clue what was going on. This was a big show. This wasn't in a club. Okay, this was at a big show with an arena, maybe an arena. I can't remember. It was a big show, but they got to work with producers like Jimmy Iovine and folks like that. Strength was released on October 1st, 1985. Big UK success as well. They got to tour again. They toured supporting Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan's name has come up in this as well. But eventually, like I said, that's what happened. Mike eventually had health problems and got sick and was dealing with a lot of stuff. And as often happens, right, when that happens, you start to have a change of heart, don't you?
Yeah.
You get a little humbled and things like that. And there is a version of the alarm that is kind of around that Mike Peters fronts. It does not have any of the original members, but he just felt like I want to do something. Like he kind of worked through this leukemia situation and was like, I was kind of given a new lease on life. 06, new version of the alarm released a studio album, Under Attack. They had another hit single. So all those years later, from the 80s to 2006, they get another single. So it's a band that, like, if you were like kind of a deep fan, you might have heard of them. If you were kind of a casual listener to maybe college radio, you might go, whatever happened to those guys? They were a huge, influential band for me. Love the band. And that's kind of what's going on. Mike is still out there, unfortunately. Nigel, Dave, and Eddie McDonald are not involved at this time. So, the alarm.
Boom goes the dynamite.
What do you got next, Mr. Hawkins? Mr. Hawkins. Hey, before we go to Mr. Hawkins, real quick, a couple things we need. Little business. RockRageRadio.com. Download the app. We love those guys, right? Go to iTunes. Get Loudini Rock and Roll Circus up on your iTunes and hit the rate and review. Give us a review. Take a screen cap with your phone or take a picture. Email it to lou@loulombardimusic.com. And we were going to put you in a drawing again for a free T-shirt. Okay, and we'll say everybody's name on the thing. Anyways, you'll get a little shout out for doing it. As well as Chris Thunderwolf Dotson at wolfscustoms.online. Go ahead and patronize those guys if you're a musician. Get the custom paint job done. That's what they call mid-roll ad, guys.
Oh, is that what
in
that
mid-roll? It's we're about halfway through the show. We jump in, and before Keith goes, hang on, brother. I know you're chomping at the bit. You want to talk about the folks hanging out with us online?
We do have Bill Damiano.
Yay, we love you, Bill.
And he suggested Vinnie Vincent as a choice. Beth, of course, from across the street, is online. Jeff Mazzy, who I already told you his Archangels comment. Bill Damiano gave me something, austintexas.org music scene. Okay, I'll have to go and look at that. And Charlie Doyle Bullet is on saying, what's up, Beth, not what's up, Lou and Lily and Keith and Kevin.
I love it when the
he never says what's up to me. Always says what's up to you guys. Like I got BO or something. You know what I mean?
I mean, we wouldn't know if you did.
Billy Altman is still trying to find the podcast.
Billy Altman couldn't find his ass with a funnel, but that's a whole other thing.
That's interesting.
So Billy, I hope Billy will give you a shout out, brother. Well, actually, I'm giving you a shout out now, even though he's not on.
He's been on there 25 times. You can't find it. It's like he would lose his way home.
I'm gonna get a Facebook message, dude. Where's the podcast? It'll be like 11.
He'll want the after party.
So anyway, Keith, what do you got next, brother?
Billy wants the after party so we can hear about Lou's drug days, so he can just follow that.
That's kind
way
we don't want
right
to
to the T. I was going to do the Cult, but I don't have enough paper, or we don't have enough time. If you were going through that band's history, Jesus, you'd be here all night. That's all I got to say.
That band.
That's a show.
I love that band. They're so good.
Oh, they're awesome. Yeah, but I mean, holy hell, man! There's a guy on YouTube that has like 500 videos just about the history of the Cult. That's how long it took him to do it. He started it in 1936. He's still doing it. So anyway, I settled for Camelbox. It's a band that kind of came right out of the gate, man. I mean, 3 albums, boom, boom, boom. I mean, they had a self-titled one with hits, Far Behind, You. I mean, then they had another album, Happy Pills, and Lucy was after that, and they had, a string of songs on that, which I can't remember the damn name of. But they were a little bit younger than even Kevin Martin, the singer says they were a little bit younger than the other Seattle band because they were from Seattle, and they were like one of the first bands signed to Maverick Records, who was Madonna's label of all things. So Madonna had her own record label. I don't think she does anymore.
Good pick, dude. Good you found that out, man. I was going to mention that. Good.
They had kind of a more. They were actually made fun of in the Seattle press. They were called grunge light for a while, and they were also like lumped in with some post grunge bands. They did hang on for a while. I've seen them open for Rush of all bands, and they had a lot of sound problems. I don't think, like I said, they're not bad players. I thought the drummer was really good. They had catchy songs, a little bit more bluesy and not as heavy as the grunge things that are around. But like I said, they were, as of the singer's quote, they were younger. So coming up, they were looking up to those bands, but just didn't want to be the same thing. They didn't want to be the Soundgardens and Alice in Chains. They weren't looking to do that. They had a lot more bluesier sound. And then they kind of just fizzled out. I think that it was the internal problems. I think this Kevin Martin guy kind of still keeps the band together. In 2006, they did reunite, and they have recorded 3 more albums since 2006, maybe more. Any diehard Candlebox fans out there could let me know. But yeah, this band, they actually played the main stage of Woodstock 94.
Awesome.
Believe it or not.
I love that band. I thought they were very cool. I liked the guitar work. They were a little bit more, the guitar was a little more chimey and stuff, not so, but still, it still rocked. I still thought that they really rocked.
Catchy stuff. I mean, if you still hear Far Behind on the radio, like probably too much, actually.
Oh, hell's to the yeah.
This is one of those bands that I do like that I don't talk about often because, I don't like to admit liking 90s bands at all, but I have partied with them twice. Once at the Altar Bar, not the Altar Bar. Yes, the Altar Bar. I partied with them once there, and they were also recently, probably within the last 3 years, at the casino, and I partied with them there too. So there's that.
Yeah.
Good guys, fun guys, nice guys.
That's a good pick, dude. Like, that's a really good pick.
I mean, I'm not like a huge fan of the band, but I think it was a band that kind of, like I said, they had 1, 2, 3 albums right off the bat that were successful, and then they kind of just, I didn't really keep up with them after that. But those 3 albums were really were really big for them, and then they kind of just, went through the trials and tribulations as most bands do, and then they just, I think, like I said, I think they are together in some form still, but.
It's a version. It's not the original at all. But
yeah, who the hell knows who's in the band? I think Kevin Martin is the singer, and he kind of keeps the band together in some form or fashion, but I don't know who else is in the band.
Tough,
they actually had the original Pearl Jam drummer, Dave Cruzen, came back and played with them for a while.
Oh, that's cool.
Brian Quinn is one of their touring guitarists. I know that. We're not going to say
Yeah,
that,
he was on their list. I mean, that's another one would take all day. Dave Cruzen was the actual, I think, original drummer for Pearl Jam. If you wanted to go through the chronological order of drummers for Pearl Jam, that could take up about 3 podcasts too.
I tell you what, man, I think that this is something, and I'm just going to kind of digress for just half a second. I think this is something that has hurt bands in the later part of the rock era, is not having consistent lineups.
Oh, I totally agree.
Because when in the classic rock era, the late 60s and 70s and early part of the 80s, you knew all the members. Like, Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, John Paul Jones, and John Bonham. That was it. You knew Van Halen, David Lee Roth, Eddie Van Halen, Michael Anthony, Alex Van Halen. Like, you knew the members, and it was always the same, and that was that. And when you don't have that, fans, I'm sorry, bands out there, fans, they like that.
They lose the interest when you start changing.
And it feels like, because what it feels like is when you get to love a band, they're like your band, and you know this guy, and you know that guy, and he wears these kind of jeans, and this guy drinks this kind of whiskey, and blah blah blah, and it's like you're like into the whole thing. But when they start falling apart, it starts to feel like it loses that magic for people. And I think that is one of the things. Rick Beato has a video about this, and this is one of the things that has hurt rock. And this is one of the things that has hurt jazz too, because like this is one of the reasons why people walk away from jazz is because like jazz musicians are so like mercenary. They just go where the money is. And so, like, Chick Corea has a band this tour, and next tour he's got all different musicians. Like, it's hard for people to latch on to, and rock has gone in that direction, and it is unfortunate. I just talked about The Alarm, I'm sorry, The Alarm is Mike Peters, Dave Sharp, Nigel Twist, and Eddie McDonald. That's the band. Mike, get back together with those guys and get your shit together. I'm sorry, I digress, but I think it's an important thing. Lily, what you got?
I have Triumph on.
Yeah, lettuce. I
My
love
lettuce.
this band. I always want to do a show about Triumph.
And here we go.
I freaking love this band. It's Canadia's other
Canada.
other power.
Here, would you like my notes?
Oh my God, I'm gonna have an orgasm.
Oh, my.
You don't know, man. I love Triumph.
Have a drink.
I know you love Triumph, but yes, this is the power trio that I do like. Sorry, Rush fans, I'm not a Rush fan. Formed in 1975, popular in the late 70s and 80s, building on its
Dog bark, what are you
reputation
gonna do, man?
and success as a live
The
band.
dog is barking for Triumph.
Well, that's
That's awesome.
great. I don't know if that's a bad thing or a
Dog's
good
like
thing.
Triumph, Triumph.
Actually, I started playing. I started humming Red Barchetta, and it went crazy.
Red Bar Mitzvah.
You scared the dog, Lou.
Way to go, Lynn.
Between the band's 16 albums and DVDs, it has received 18 gold and 9 platinum awards in Canada and the United States. Nominated for multiple Juno Awards. If you don't know what a Juno Awards, it's like a Canadian Grammys, including the Group of the Year Award in 79, 85, 86, and 87. It was inducted into the Canadian Music Industry Hall of Fame in 2007, Canadian Music Hall of Fame in 2008, and Canadian Walk of Fame in 2019. Most known for its guitar-driven rock songs and alternative Canadian rock trio vibe with songs such as Lay It on the Line, Magic Power, Fight the Good Fight, World of Fantasy, and strong cover songs like Rocky Mountain Way. Do you want to talk while I stop for a second? Because I know you're like ready to.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Don't forget Allied Force.
It's bursting at the seams.
Allied
I
Force.
can tell.
I'm just so excited. I love Triumph.
They recorded their last album to date, Edge of Excess, and went on an indefinite hiatus in 1993. The classic lineup of Moore, Levine, Emmett reunited for 2 live concerts in 2008 at Sweden Rock Festival and Rocklahoma, which I've never been to, would love to go. And again in 2019 for a 3-song performance in Toronto. The songs were When the Lights Go Down, Lay It on the Line, and Magic Power, in front of approximately 300 superfans. I'm not done. The Superfan Fantasy performance was taped for an upcoming Banger Films documentary, Triumph Rock and Roll Machine, which is stated for release this year.
I can't
Oh,
wait,
no.
man. I'm buying it on Blu-ray today. I'm pre-ordering.
The same month, Triumph were inducted into the Canada. I knew I was going to
Way to
say
go.
it.
And say it, man.
There you go.
Canada,
America and Canada.
Canada's Walk of Fame. When asked,
As Howard Stern says, they should just combine them called Comerica.
I know, right? When asked if the band will perform again in the future, Emmett said, "I think we're going to try to do it every 11 years or so. That's the length of time.
Damn.
That's the length of time it had been since we did a reunion show in Sweden." So go ahead.
This band is so freaking awesome. I'm so glad. I was so tickled when you said you were talking about Triumph.
They're so underrated, and people don't love them as much as they should.
Well,
And I
tell
have
you
like
what, man,
most
a
of their
lot
vinyl.
Okay, first of all, I interviewed.
Yes.
Help me out here.
Tell me.
Long
Rick
blonde hair,
Rick Emmett.
slide guitar player. His brother's Johnny Winters. Johnny Winters, music director, and he went off on Triumph. He freaking hates Triumph, and apparently a lot of people in Canada that they are like Canada's Nickelback.
What?
And
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot
you have told me this.
A lot of people in Canada, a lot of musicians despise Triumph. They think they're the most terrible band ever. And I had to
You had to
not say anything during the interview. I go, okay, yeah, Jim. Oh, I said his name. Sorry. In any case, but Rick Emmett. When I heard, I would take those songs to my guitar teacher. I could barely play, and I'd be like, "Can you teach me that?" And he could play the solos, but I couldn't follow him. I couldn't figure out what the hell he was doing. It was just too advanced for me. And Rick Emmett still has an amazing voice. So one of you guys in my inner circle recently posted like an acoustic thing of him playing one of his songs, and he sounds just like he did in the '80s. Like his voice is exactly. But what he got into was he became more of an acoustic guy and started doing a lot of clinics.
Those
A lot
are
of
always
guitar-
fun. I like watching
a lot of
those.
guitar clinics.
I was
and
going to
things
say,
like
years ago, he did a master class with freaking Duquesne.
that. Yeah, stuff like that. And I think that stuff is just easier, and he's able to be home with his family more. That's just what happens to guys. You know what I mean?
You okay, Lou?
Sorry.
And sorry.
I do it the whole
what
show.
happened
There were boobs. And anyways,
Wow.
so it's just a fantastic band, and we need to do some kind of show dedicated to Triumph at some point in the very near future, because I'm like bursting at the seams to talk about.
You're so excited.
One of my favorite bands. of
So
all time.
excited.
Yeah, they were just like so important to me. Just like. One of those bands where I thought, I would really think about the lyrics and what is he talking about and is that me and blah blah blah. Anyways, I won't get into all that, but I just did. So, I get it's my turn.
It's your turn.
Oh wow! And
Now you get to talk
Now I
more.
get to keep talking. You know, this is why I. This is why I started a podcast.
Somebody stop him.
Because I love to talk. I want to talk about this.
Fucking knee on his neck.
I want to talk about this band because, like, when everybody started going, like, rock is dead, you know, new metal's like yawn and blah blah blah. This band came out in 2001, and people went, "Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. I think rock might be still around." And it was a band called Jet. They were Australian. And Cameron Muncie, Mark Wilson, Nick and Chris. Is that Kester?
I would say it's Sester.
Sester. Just your basic four-piece rock and roll band.
I thought they were great.
Never gets old. Always freaking works. Right? Songs like "Cold Hard Bitch,"
Which is a great song.
that is a great song. Do you want to be? Are you gonna be my girl? Just like we're like this giant breath of fresh air. You know.
You know why?
Why?
If I may interject, because I know you love to talk. They were AC/DC with a different singer. They basically sounded like AC/DC.
They had definitely had that AC/DC vibe, kind of a garage
And they were from
rock.
Australia, right? So, hey,
Yeah.
go figure.
The album was called Get Born. Great title. Great title.
It was. I have that somewhere, actually.
I do too.
I'm not aware, but...
In fact, I have the DVD with. It's got a mix of their music videos and some concert footage as well. We covered "Cold Hard Bitch" in my band. I was just completely blown away. But in any case, they put out this great record. They put out a couple records in a row, and then Kevin, and then they just vanished. They just stopped. They just stopped. And I was so I did a little bit of research on this because I was like, "What? Come on, guys! Like, really? Like, we're counting on you." But see, there's an old expression. There's a songwriter. His name's Ray Wiley Hubbard. You know Ray Wiley Hubbard, Keith? Kind of a blues singer-songwriter guy. Really writes really cool songs. Give me
something that he
But
did.
he's got a song called "Rock and Roll is a Vicious Game," and
I
think that like this band fell victim to rock and roll, if any band ever did, and it was just the excesses of rock and roll, just pulling the band around, and some egos. There is an interview on Tone Deaf with the drummer, and he won't even speak for his brother. He's like very like, I don't want to say, he said, but the band had been slowly disintegrating and breaking up since the Shine On sessions in 2006. He says, we never really talked about it. We never really wanted to drum up any kind of BS between us. We just sort of all fell into talking about things in the press, which is really bad, right? That always gets right. Because it's like we talked about Cheap Trick a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah,
and what happened with Bunny Carlos? They were dissing him in the press, and they're like, all that did was cause problems. He said we should be able to sort out our own problems, but God, it was so long ago, and all the trouble started. But really, Nick is the one who is mainly responsible for pulling the pin officially. I think the rest of us were happy to go on and keep making records and hope that things would get better. And like I said, things have been strained between us for years, and we just, soldiered on because we didn't know any better. And we're still getting a lot out of music, but, Anyway, so Nick Sester has put together some solo stuff. Very recently, during the pandemic, he was kind of inspired to come up with some new music and stuff like that. And Jet has reunited at different times, so they're kind of in a limbo status at the moment. So let's pray and hope to Jesus, our Lord and Savior, that Jet will once again rise and put out some great rock and roll, because we really need a band like Jet.
I really want to tell you this, and you're probably going to make fun of me, but when I first heard them, I did not know how new they were. I thought they were actually from like the 70s.
They have that sound.
Yeah. So I didn't know who they were. I just sort of heard them on the radio one day.
What I thought was interesting about that band was like the rocker people like me and Lily and Kevin have like really dug them. But a lot of people who liked like alternative type music.
Oh, they hated
Yeah.
them.
No, they liked them too.
Oh.
Yeah, I knew some people
I
that
know
were
people who
like
don't
not.
like them.
I was surprised. I would like it would come in the car and I'd go to turn it down because I thought they would like. No, crank that up. That's good. We like Jet.
I did
So
not get
I think
that.
They were bridging a lot. They were bridging a lot of gaps, and it's just unfortunate that they just couldn't keep their craft. But it happens, guys. I mean, we talked about the Police before, right, Keith? Stuart Copeland and Sting, man. I mean, they barely held on through synchronicity. They just could not get along with each other.
That's too many egos in one room.
It just happens. It just freaking happens. So what do you? Let's see. We're headed down to about the last 10 to 8 minutes. You got any other ones you want to talk about, Keith, before we wrap up?
My last one wasn't really a band. It was a very polarizing figure, we'll say. It was Meg White from the White Stripes. Obviously not a band. She was a drummer for, she was a drummer for the White Stripes for years. It was a two-piece band. They had very big success, and Jack White is still going strong. Meg seems to have fallen off the face of the earth from what Jack says. In interviews, they canceled tours because she has acute anxiety problems. But they did their last show together on the last time Conan O'Brien was on the air, which is God knows when that was. They did an acoustic piece where she didn't even really play the drums. She played chords on an acoustic. She's was married to what's this guy's name? Jackson Smith, who's the son of Patti Smith and somebody else. I don't know who else, but she's kind of a hermit. She don't really have any social media, from what I know, so it's kind of hard to find out what she's doing. There was a very sick, twisted running joke that I think people took too far online. That when Rush broke up, she was going to take Neil Peart's place, but that's how sick people are. But she kind of just fell off the planet, man. What are you going to do? She's somewhere, I guess.
But this is a show about where are they? So Keith, what's going on? You're supposed to know these things, brother.
She's out, man. I don't know where she's
Aliens picked her up. She's on Mars.
We're gonna give Lily the last word on this subject tonight.
Oh, no, I have no more.
What?
I misunderstood the assignment. I only picked 3.
Well, I did say 3.
That's what the assignment was, Billy. Lou F's us up all the time by his overthinking ass doing shit that we are completely clueless on. So you know what, Lou? Start sending them better memos to the office people, okay? We're never going to get the video. We're not working through the weekend. That'd be great, but we're not going to. You better hurry up and send the memos out because we want to know what's going on. So yeah, I even picked 4 just because I knew I had my feathers numbered for just quite a disaster like this. You know what I mean?
It is a total disaster, right? How can we carry on with our lives?
I think we'll be okay.
Oh, I think we're going to be okay. The only I'm just going to say this name, and I'm not going to get into it. Midnight Oil.
I do like that band a
Great
lot.
band, and they kind of went away. But
Where'd
what
they
people
go?
don't realize about Midnight Oil is this is another band like The Alarm. They continued to be well-liked and famous in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
They continued in their home country. We just didn't hear about them. The singer, I'm sorry I don't have the notes in front of me because I'm moving on to other things right now, but the singer, he was always involved in politics, and he was running for office and stuff like that.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so
Oh,
they
that's
took
crazy.
a long time off because he was a politician. So he couldn't really devote, like Schwarzenegger, when he went into politics, couldn't do movies for a long time because he was involved in that.
Conan the
So it's the same
Barbarian.
kind of thing. He just, he was like,
We couldn't have Terminator Part 35. That's,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
too bad.
So, anyways, Midnight Oil. But
That
they
guy
are-
made my list of most unique voices of all time. He was on my when we did a show back in the day, the top 10 most unique rock voices ever, and that guy made the cut. And I think that's one of those bands. Yeah, they just didn't have. They had moderate success maybe in the U.S., but yeah, in Australia, I'm sure they were super big. Here's a podcast I did: the top 10 Australian bands you can't have AC/DC on the list.
Yeah, top 10 top 10 Australian bands that aren't AC/DC. There you go. That's the title. So we got This Day in Music, which I always keep in my back pocket here, for times just like this when we don't know what the hell that we're going to talk about. Apple Music, not Steve Jobs' Apple Music. There was an Apple Music before that in the 60s. Apple Music ran advertisements soliciting tapes from unknown artists offering financial grants as part of the deal to release records on the Apple label. This is this day in 1968. Artists such as Badfinger, James Taylor, Mary Hopkin, Jackie Lomax, David Peel, and Elephant's Memory were signed. And Elephant's Memory, I don't know those guys or anything like that, but Badfinger,
Oh
right?
yeah, we own
Oh,
it.
yeah.
You know, they're just absolutely very like a powerhouse band. On this day in 1968, again, Deep Purple made their live debut at a gig in Tastrup, Denmark. I'm not going to even try to do a Denmark accent. Formerly known as
look at me.
Roundabout, guitarist Richie Blackmore suggested a new name, Deep Purple, named after his grandmother's favorite song, which had been a hit for Peter DeRose, after his grandmother had repeatedly asked if they would be performing the song.
Oh yeah,
No,
I remember that. Hey Lou, yeah, I remember that concert. Yeah, it's good. It's very good. They're very loud. They're very loud. So, oh my goodness, it's so
Can't even stand
loud.
you.
Who here remembers George Burns?
Yes.
God.
Oh God, he was
Yeah.
God,
God,
right?
yeah.
Everybody remembers George Burns as God.
He's actually older than God, but that's what
On this day in 1980, 84-year-old George Burns, who starred in the movie Oh God with John Denver, became the oldest person to have a hit on the Billboard Hot 100 when I Wish I Was 8. You remember the song, I Wish I Was 18 again? Well, I forgot until the second year.
Wow.
Peaked at number 49. When asked if he wished he were 18 again, Burns replied, I wish I was 80 again. Before this, his most recent charting record had been a spoken word comedy routine with his wife and partner Gracie Allen in the summer
Aw.
of 1933.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
There you
Okay, wait a minute. Check this out. This is another one. You guys are all going to trip down memory lane on this one, guys. Because we're all around. Well,
Oh
Lily, you're a kid.
God.
Yeah.
No, I know
Me
it.
and
Trust
Kevin
me.
and Keith are all going to know this. 1985 was the year I graduated high school. The charity record "We Are the World" by USA for Africa was
Yeah.
number one on the UK singles chart. The U.S. artist answered to Band Aid and had all-star cast including Stevie Wonder, Tina Turner, Bruce Springsteen, Diana Ross, Bob Dylan, Daryl Hall, Huey Lewis, Ray Charles, Billy Joel, Paul Simon, plus composer of the track Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie.
They made us sing this in Catholic school for a Christmas pageant.
I'm sorry.
Do you remember that? Was wow. This guy is probably, if we ever did a show on if we ever went around the room and did a show on like our personal like top favorite vocalists. I'm not talking about frontmen, but just singers for the sake of singing. This guy would be on my list. Steve Marriott, this day in 1991, leader of the Small Faces and Humble Pie, died in a fire in his home in Essex.
Oh, jeez.
He was working on putting out new music, and it was just really, really unfortunate.
You should have been working on putting out that fire.
Oh,
What, too soon? Is that too soon, Lou? Lou,
Oh my God.
what? Is that too soon?
There's something wrong with you.
That's terrible.
that's why I love you.
I'm leaving.
That's just wrong. Lily, why'd you say that?
Jokes are just getting bad.
Oh,
We're
Lord.
losing our minds. Real quick, we got some birthdays. Do we know any of these people? Do you know any of these people?
Are you going to talk about the other thing?
The Aerosmith thing?
No.
What thing?
Do it.
The sad thing.
Oh, Jim Steinman.
Yes.
Jim Steinman passed away yesterday.
No way.
Yes.
Way.
Oh,
73.
Yeah.
I love Jim Steinman.
Born on this day.
I'm glad you didn't switch gears and make us talk about Jim Steinman for an hour. Cause
I thought he was going to. I'm like,
That's
no,
why-
my notes are done.
That's why she
I
waited till now.
would have been the next casualty because I probably would have took the fucking bridge. Man.
We're out of time, anyways. But a real birthday shout out to Luther Vandross. I mean, like, who hasn't made out to some Luther Vandross?
I probably
It
haven't.
was on in the '80s, man. When I was making a mixtape to get busy with my girlfriend, her name was Amy McMillan. Freaking oh, dude, we made out in my dorm room all the time.
That's
Freaking hot.
That's my sister.
And
That wasn't my sister.
but Luther
You just
Vandross,
have to take your
man.
metal card away for putting that Luther on.
Much respect to Luther, dude. Much respect to Luther, man.
Great singer.
Luther got me laid,
many
man.
great singers out there.
Yeah. Carmen Electra was born on this day in 1972.
And there's that.
Yeah,
old.
well, I mean, come on, but she's hot.
I didn't know she was that old, though. I mean, not that old, but she's old.
Whoa!
When I say that old, I mean she's 10 years older than
What do
me.
you say there?
I hear like a bitch fight coming
Oh,
on.
please, that bitch is shorter than me. I'll knock her out. Please.
Okay, guys, thank you guys for hanging out. It's been the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. Go to LouLombardiMusic.com. Please go to iTunes, give us a review. Click the little thingy, make a little picture of it, and send it to Lou at LouLombardiMusic.com. Rock Rage Radio, we love you. Chris Thunderwolf Dodson, Wolf's Customs out online, we love you. Lily, your show again, baby.
Hot Licks with Lily 6, Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, rockrageradio.com.
And this weekend, I will be hanging out live with Keith. And we might pop in and do a Facebook Live or two with Keith the Hawk Hawkins down there in New Orleans. You guys, are you ready for me?
Man, do I have a choice?
You invited me first.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, I got to go down the line. So, you know, we'll
Hopefully everybody
We'll see.
returns home safe. Nobody dies. Nobody gets in trouble in an Uber.
And you have,
we'll
you
see.
have,
We'll see who's next.
you have a show this weekend, right? I'm coming to see you play, right?
I would hope, unless you want to sit at the house with these dogs. I don't know if you want to do
no.
that. So, yeah,
Go
I'm gonna take you.
live.
I'm gonna take you out, and you know, we're gonna we'll paint the town, as they would say.
What's the show and what night is it?
It's going to be Saturday night at the Poorhouse with the band. It's a 4-piece funk band I'm playing called Ugly. So it's, you know.
Oh yeah, Ugly. That's a good band.
Oh, the one we voted for.
It's definitely, like, you know, as players go, I think you'll be kind of floored how good these kids are, man. I mean, it's amazing how advanced they are for being 22 years old. I mean, it's pretty crazy. They keep you on your toes, keep you young, as they would say.
Cool, man. All right, guys, you've been listening to Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, and there's really nothing else we can say. Thanks. Shout out to Keith the Hawk Hawkins down in New Orleans. Thanks to Pittsburgh Kevin for hanging out and being our color commentator.
Yeah.
Color
Color
commentator. Lily V6, as always, the lovely and talented Lily V Boobs. And my name is Lou Lombardi, a.k.a. Loudini, and we'll catch you guys all on the next Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
The long black ribbon stretched into a sawdust sky. We talk for hours about the world, and you and I and everything we love became more.
People on this fucking road. You believe this motherfucker?
What's the matter?
This fucking dog, man. He's always trying to get up. He's up chucking or something.
Up chucking. It's not down.
I told her, I was like, don't you puke on this fucking rug. You're out the door.